Hey, Ron here. This is my artist review of the Honor Pad 10 with the Honor Choice Pencil. First of all, disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. I have purchased this tablet with the pen for review purposes. And in this video, I'll just present to you my findings so that you can decide whether this is worth the money. So here in Singapore, the official retail price for this tablet is 479 Singapore dollars, which is around US 374, but it's usually selling at just 350 Singapore dollars, and it can be lower if there are any sales going on. By the way, if you have the intention to buy this tablet after watching my review, consider supporting my YouTube channel by making your purchase through the affiliate links that I have for you in the video description below. I actually have some Shopee Singapore discount voucher on the product link, which is in the video description. Oh, the Honor pencil, this pen that I have here, is sold separately for around 50 Singapore dollars. So this is not very expensive. Okay, let me give you the bottom line up front. This tablet is well made. It looks and feels premium. The build quality is solid. This is a big 12.1-inch IPS LCD that is bright, vibrant, and sharp. And the refresh rate is 120 Hz. So together with the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 processor, you can expect very smooth, lag-free performance. The processor is powerful enough for some light gaming, and this tablet weighs 525 grams, so you can hold it quite comfortably like this with two hands for long periods of time. 8 gigs of RAM is more than sufficient for multitasking. Speaking of multitasking, there are many multitasking features. There is the floating window, and you can minimize this to the side. There is split screen. You can open another app here. Let's try Chrome again. Honor MagicOS version 9 has many features which I will talk more about later. Audio quality from the four-way speakers sound pretty good. The USB-C port supports 35 watt charging, has USB 2 transfer speed, so this cannot output video. That's the 8 megapixel front-facing camera that supports face unlock, which works quite well. There's auto brightness, which works quite effectively. So here we have the volume control, power button. There is no fingerprint scanner, so no fingerprint unlock. The tablet does not have a micro SD card slot. This tablet that I have here is Wi-Fi only, but you can choose to buy the tablet with a SIM card slot that supports 5G cellular. Battery life is about 15 hours with auto brightness, so the battery life is quite incredible. One main downside with this tablet is the lack of information regarding whether there will be any future Android OS and security updates, because when I searched online, I was only able to find information on the FAQ and the Q&A page. And Honor Malaysia mentions just 1 year of OS updates and 3 years of security updates. And Honor UK mentions 6 years of OS updates and security updates, so the information is conflicting. The tablet is compatible with two pens, the Honor Magic Pen and the Honor Choice Pencil, which is the one that I have here. So this pen supports tilt, palm rejection, and pressure sensitivity. And there is one side button here, no eraser at the back. There is no magnetic charging, so you have to charge the pen with this USB-C port. Now, the performance of this pen is very similar to a USI pen, unfortunately. So there is diagonal line wobble and jitter, which you can see here. And sometimes there is this pressure variance, so it can be difficult to create consistent line width when you are trying to maintain consistent pressure. And when I try to taper the lines, you can see the lines, they would sometimes taper quite abruptly, where I actually want the lines to taper like this. So each time the line tapers like this, I will have to undo, redraw, so it's not productive. The one good thing about this pen is at least palm rejection works quite well. This tablet can still be used for some casual sketching, but for any type of drawing that requires accuracy, this is probably not the pen or the tablet and pen combination that I would recommend. For writing purposes, it works fine. It works well enough. So those are the main pros and cons of the Huawei Pad 10. The hardware is good for the price that this tablet is selling at. The pen performance to me is a mixed bag. Alright, let's move on to the full review. Let's take a look at the items included with the purchase. This is how the packaging box looks. Oh, this actually comes with Google Kids Space. With this, you can set the tablet up as a kids tablet. These are the items in the box besides the tablet. A warranty card, quick start guide, USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and a 35-watt charger with USB-A port. This is the Honor Choice Pencil, which is sold separately. Here in Singapore, it's about 50 Singapore dollars, which isn't too expensive. This supports tilt, pressure, and palm rejection, and I will talk more about this later. Honor has also made an official flip cover for the tablet, which is, well, sold separately, or you can buy third-party cases for this tablet on AliExpress. And on AliExpress, you can also find third-party keyboard cases as well, and they are not too expensive. I'll put the links to these accessories in the video description below. Let's look at the design of this tablet, and it's a good-looking tablet. The design is actually quite generic now, because most tablets look kind of similar. We have rounded corners for the body and for the LCD. This is quite thin at just 6.3mm, and the weight is 525 grams, which is considered lightweight for a tablet with a 12.1-inch display. There are no pogo pins for any keyboard, which is to say that the keyboard case that you saw earlier is actually a Bluetooth keyboard. This tablet has 6 speakers and 4 sets of speaker grills, 2 here and 2 on the other side. Now, Honor Spatial Audio is enabled by default, and it does not sound as good compared to the simple stereo mode, so I highly recommend you go into settings to disable Honor Spatial Audio. Audio quality is quite good with stereo mode. Audio is loud and clear but lacks bass, which is not surprising. This is the USB-C charging port that supports charging up to 35 watt, and the transfer speed is just USB 2, so this cannot output video. On this side, there are the volume buttons, power buttons. I'm not sure what these holes are, probably for the mic. This tablet does not have any IP rating, so don't get any water or moisture in the tablet. The pen, Honor Choice Pencil, has no magnets and does not snap to the side or the back of the tablet. There is one landscape 8-megapixel camera here that supports face unlock, and there is auto brightness, which works quite well, but there is no fingerprint unlock. And this is how the back looks with just one camera, no flash, and this is metal, it's matte textured. If you have the tablet on the table without a case, the tablet will wobble because of the camera bump behind. This is a good quality IPS LCD display. The size is 12.1 inches, resolution is 2560 by 1600, so you can play YouTube videos or stream videos at 1440p resolution. The refresh rate is 120 Hz, so the animation for pen zoom and rotate, scaling in and out, OS animation, all those will look really smooth and responsive. Visuals are sharp and pixelation is not noticeable. Brightness is 500 nits, and when I use this with auto brightness, the tablet is usually brighter than usual, which looks really good. One thing I don't quite like about this display is it's really glossy and reflective. Now the contrast ratio is 1500 to 1, which is good because most LCDs have the contrast ratio of 1000 to 1. The colors on this display look good out of the box, but you can use the settings to tweak the colors if you want to. So this is definitely a pretty good looking display. And the display is laminated, so there is almost no gap between the line and the pen tip. And you can see the line here is wobbly. So this is what you have to deal with drawing, which I will talk more about later. Let's talk about the overall performance. So this tablet comes with the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 processor, which is a mid-range processor that is reasonably powerful for a tablet at this price point. Now you have to know that there are actually other budget tablets with weaker processors, such as the Helio G99 processor, which is very common in budget tablets. But this tablet is selling at a lower price compared to some of the budget tablets with the weaker processor. So in terms of value for money, you actually get a lot of value with this tablet. And there is 8 gigs of RAM, so no issues with multitasking. You can keep many apps in memory, and apps can launch very quickly. But when you're loading huge games, that may take a bit more time. This game is Genshin Impact, and for this game I can set the graphics settings at just, well, low, which is the second setting out of the 5 settings. But this is not lowest. With Helio G99 processor, you are going to get the lowest graphics settings. So from what I can see, this is still not too pixelated, which is good. Oops, let me just run away quickly. So as I run around, I do not see any frame drops. I do not see any stutter or lag. So gameplay animation is quite good, and the visuals look good. So you can still get some decent gaming performance with this tablet, although I probably won't consider this as a gaming tablet. The Wi-Fi 6 download speed is actually quite decent. So right now, this tablet is actually quite far away from my router, and I can get 280 megabits per second. When I'm beside the router, I can get up to 900 megabits per second, which is around the same speed as my M4 iPad Pro. So web pages are able to load pretty quickly, almost instantly. Let's talk about OS and software. So this tablet is running on Honor MagicOS version 9 on top of Android 15 with official support for Google Play Store. There is unfortunately no official information regarding how many years of OS and security updates you can get with this tablet. Honor is quite a popular brand, so for them not to put out any official statement regarding OS and security updates is quite disappointing. This is my first time using Honor MagicOS, and I've got to say that there are actually many features which took me some time to learn. So one thing that I like about this OS is you can pinch like this and you can go to the wallpapers section, and here you can choose from the many themes that are available. You can also go into settings under home screen and style and choose from the many themes that are available. Some are free and some are not free, but they are not expensive. There are many multitasking features. For example, I can swipe up like this and move the window to the left side, and this will open up the split screen mode. And now you can open a second window by the side, or you can, let me just open this, swipe the window up, move it to the right side and have a floating window. So this is good for opening apps. This is good for opening apps that are designed for vertical use, like handphone apps. To move the windows around, you can tap here at the top and choose split screen, floating, or minimize the window, which will minimize it to the side. And if you swipe from the edges, either the left or right edges, swipe and hold, and you can add more shortcuts to apps in the sidebar. And for the dock, you can add up to 9 shortcuts, and there are 3 recent apps. The control panel has volume control, If you use an Honor phone, you can use collaboration features. I don't use an Honor phone, so I can't tell you how this feature actually works, but from what I see online, it should open up the phone screen on the tablet. You can use your knuckle to hit the display 2 times to take a screenshot, and you can use different knuckle shortcuts to create different types of screenshots, such as a partial screenshot or a scrolling screenshot. When you're inside an app, you can swipe up from the bottom to go to another app, but it doesn't work that well, as you can see. Okay, now it works, and sometimes it will just open into the floating window. Another issue that I had is sometimes when I swipe up too quick like this, the app drawer, this app drawer will not appear, but now it works fine. There are a few backup options. One is to back up to your Google Drive, which I'm very sure it's not 100% backup. The other options are here. You can use Honor Suite to back up to another computer, or you can back up to external storage. I did not test these two options, so I cannot tell you whether the backup is 100%, because sometimes the apps that you use may save the files within the app, within the Android data folder, which is not accessible by you. So sometimes the backup do not back up the Android data folder, which can be a problem when you switch to a different tablet, or if you lose the tablet and you need to restore. Honor has their own app store as well. Oh, I also want to mention that there are some bloatware installed when I first set up the tablet, and they are WPS Office, Facebook, Booking.com, and TikTok. From the Honor app market, you will get access to even more apps. So together with Google Play Store, you will have access to a huge variety of apps. So those are just some of the features and issues that I discovered. You really have to go through all the settings to learn all the features because there are many. Let's talk about the pen. So this is the Honor Choice Pencil, the stylus that's advertised together with the tablet. And this pen supports palm rejection, tilt, and slightly over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. And the price of this pen here in Singapore is around 50 Singapore dollars, which is around 40 US dollars. And here in Singapore, the tablet is actually bundled more often together with the Honor Magic Pen instead of with the Choice Pencil. And the Honor Magic Pen is more expensive, comes with a clip, and from the specifications that I see, it supports tilt, palm rejection, and also pressure sensitivity. I did not buy the Honor Magic Pen because it wasn't advertised together with the tablet on the product page, and I have no intention to buy that pen, so I won't be testing that pen. So back to the Honor Choice Pencil. The build quality of this pencil or pen feels plasticky. It's lightweight. Some people prefer heavier pens, some prefer lighter, so it's just a matter of personal preference. This is still quite comfortable to hold. The design is almost cylindrical, except there is this flat side here, which does not attach to the side of the tablet. For charging the internal battery, you have to use the USB-C port. There is no USB-C charging cable included in the box for the pen, but you can just use the charging cable for the tablet to charge this pen. So inside the box for the pen, there is one extra replacement pen tip, the quick start guide, and there is this pen pouch that's made with PU leather. On the back, there is double-side tape, so you can stick this somewhere, probably not on the tablet. This pen has to be powered on by pressing the side button before it can be used, and this button may or may not be customizable depending on which app you use. And this is the pen tip, which is quite firm. There is no eraser at the back. Now, one very important thing you need to know about this pen is the battery capacity is small. So if you let the battery remain in a discharged state for long periods of time, it's very likely the battery will deteriorate and the pen may become faulty. And I'm speaking from experience. So if you don't use the pen often, I would highly recommend you set an alarm to charge this pen at least once a month. The problem with a small battery deteriorating will apply to all digital pens because they all come with batteries inside except for the pens that use Wacom EMR. And this problem also affects wireless earbuds because wireless earbuds have small batteries inside. And this is more of a problem with this particular pen because you cannot attach it to the side of the tablet for charging, so you have to remember to charge the pen. After you power on the pen, a pop-up will appear with the words Honor Choice Pencil with the battery life of the pen. Let's go through some pen features. So when the tablet is asleep, you can tap on the tablet to write something quickly. And this is the default Notes app. I can't remember if this movable floating pen icon is enabled by default, but if you tap on it, you can actually see shortcuts to write something quickly. Let's go into settings. Instant Write is the feature that lets you write on the tablet when it's asleep. Global handwriting allows you to write inside text boxes. I'm actually not sure what gestures mean. Floating menu is the floating pen icon here. And you can edit the floating menu, but for some reason you can't add additional shortcuts here, so it's not that customizable. Time for the line test, and I'm going to show you the latency performance first. And this app is MagicOS Paint, so for writing it actually works fine. So this is how much latency there is with this app on this tablet. And you can see the line chasing the pen tip. So this is actually the typical amount of latency with this app. Let's look at the latency with this app concepts, and the latency performance here is actually better. So the gap between the line as it chases the pen tip is noticeably smaller, but there is an issue here. You can see the very noticeable diagonal line wobble. Right, back to MagicOS Paint. And now I'm going to test the initial activation force. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line slowly with minimal pressure. And for some reason, the first line is straight. The second line is wobbly. The third line is straight. The fourth line is wobbly. The fifth line is straight. I'm not sure why sometimes the line is straight and sometimes it is not straight. So the pressure performance here I would say is quite consistent because I can draw thin lines consistently, but the diagonal line wobble and or jitter is inconsistent. This is Infinite Painter. I can draw thin lines, but I have to press down a bit harder, otherwise I can't get the line. Let me see if I have actually tweaked the pressure curve. Nope, the pressure curve is the default one. So yeah, I can see the diagonal line wobble. Next, let's look at tapered strokes. And this actually looks okay, but if you really analyze it, it's not okay. Sometimes the lines can taper smoothly and sharply, but sometimes you can see it's quite abrupt. This is almost a rounded corner. If I draw very fast like this, I can get tapered strokes. But if I draw or lift slowly like this, you can see the tapered stroke is not tapered, not sharp enough. And this is Infinite Painter again, and you can see I can't even create tapered strokes here. So whenever there are problems with the pen, I will usually test the pen with more drawing apps. This is Clip Studio Paint. So this is me trying to create tapered strokes, and I cannot see the rounded end here. And even this tapered stroke is not sharp enough. Next, we have line transition from thin to thick and back to thin. This is to test whether the pen can react to small changes with pressure when drawing with minimal pressure, and it seems alright. I can still draw thin lines after drawing thick lines, but you can see some issue with diagonal line wobble and also with the pressure variance. So this line should be smoother, but now it looks unnatural. Let's see if we can maintain consistent line width by maintaining consistent pressure. Okay, this is quite easy. This is also diagonal line, so there is diagonal line wobble. Let's draw some dots. Let's draw bigger dots. Looks fine. Next, let's draw separate lines and join them together by looking at where the pen tip is instead of where the cursor is. And it seems like I have no problems joining the lines. There are no lines overshooting and no gaps. So pen accuracy is affected by the diagonal line wobble and also the inability to draw tapered strokes. Alright, now I'm going to sketch something very quickly while I talk more about the drawing experience. So the app that I'm using is MediBank Paint, and I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer so that I can draw here in this empty area. I have just disabled the palette by the side to get more drawing space, but even if you have the palette by the side, you will still get a good amount of space left over for drawing, because this is a 12-inch tablet. It's considered quite a big tablet for drawing. One thing that I am still trying to get used to is the glass is quite slippery. So it's actually quite difficult to control the pen. So here I'm trying to draw some tapered strokes. And you can see as I try to taper the line, the stroke is not sharp. These few lines, they have tapered strokes, but these few lines, they are just wrong. So if I really want to correct this, I will have to, undo, but let's just leave it as it is right now. Notice as I draw this line, there is the pressure inconsistency. I drew one quick stroke, but I can see thick and thin. So just by placing down a few lines, I know that this pen is gonna have some problems with drawing. And even with this line that I drew earlier, you can see there is this inconsistency with the line width. Yeah, this is actually quite a difficult pen to use. And from the performance that I see so far, so as I press down a bit with a bit more pressure, you can see the line becomes much thicker. Yeah, so now I want to join the lines. So I have to make sure I match the line width, and it is not easy. With a more accurate pen, you can actually continue to draw or join the line and match the line width, but with this pen it's a bit difficult. Yeah, so the performance that I see here, see, I tried to apply the same pressure, but this line is thick and this is thin. So if you want to get your lines smooth, you have to draw like one straight line, one smooth line like this. And try not to draw separate lines and then join them. It's going to be very difficult to draw a smooth line. But even when I draw a single continuous line, you can see there is wobble. And usually wobble doesn't happen with vertical lines. This is, I would say, considered a vertical line, but there is still wobble. So the pen performance here is really inconsistent. Yeah. Palm rejection works fine, thankfully. So I actually don't have any issues with palm rejection. It's just that, well, the pressure performance, it's not predictable at all. Yeah, so let's draw a few more tapered strokes. Yeah, this looks fine. Another way to draw tapered strokes is to rely on pressure. So you can press down hard and then release the pressure to get tapered strokes, but this pen has difficulty detecting minor changes with pressure. So as you're drawing the thin lines, sometimes you can see the line break. So there is actually a lot of issues with this pen. Yeah. The performance that I see here is very similar to USI pen technology. So with USI pens, there is the diagonal line wobble and what's that? The inability to taper strokes properly. So I would say this pen performs just like a USI pen, but this is not a USI pen in the sense that you cannot use other USI pens with this tablet. Because when you power this on, the pop-up that says Honor Choice Pencil will appear, which is to say that Honor, the company, has programmed this pen has programmed the tablet to only work with this pen. So you can't use other USI USI pens here. You see, as I try to draw the eyelid here, I use 2 lines and I just cannot join the lines properly. With other tablets, I can actually join the lines almost seamlessly. But here, try to avoid drawing multiple lines when drawing one line will do. Okay, and I'm still trying to get used to how smooth the pen glides. This is a plastic tip and this is a smooth glass surface. And the pen really glides too easily. So it makes controlling the pen a bit difficult. Now for writing purposes, it actually works fine because for writing, you write fast. So it's not an issue. But for drawing, sometimes you want to slow down to get more accuracy, and that's where the issue, what's that? What was I talking about? Yeah, that's where the inaccuracy was set in. I mean, you slow down to get more accuracy, but there is inaccuracy added. Yeah, so that is the problem here. Oops. Maybe the brush that I use is too thick. So let me just reduce it. Yeah. So if you want to draw thinner lines, it's actually easier to just adjust the brush size manually rather than rely on the pressure of the pen. But for really good, really sensitive and accurate pens, you can actually choose a thick brush and just use that thick brush for the whole drawing. But for this tablet, I feel like you have to adjust the brush size manually just to get your preferred line width. Okay, let me reduce this. So far, I have not encountered any issues with pressure sensitivity. My palm is actually on the tablet. This is a big tablet, so there is a lot of space for you to rest your palm on the tablet. Let's draw a thin line here. Okay, not too bad. Thin. Yeah, I guess sometimes when drawing thin lines, it's fine. It's just that sometimes when you want the tapered strokes, yeah, I can see the problem again with see this line here? This is not sharp, where I actually want something like this. So every time that happens, you have to undo and redraw, so it's not very productive. It is still possible to draw with this pen. You just have to note the limitations. I guess the main reason to buy this tablet is because the price of this tablet for the features that the tablet provides, or for the hardware that the tablet provides, The hardware is actually good. So this is actually a pretty good tablet for the price. It's just that the pen performance is it's just not good enough for drawing. But you can draw with the pen, yes. It's just, well, not good enough if you require accuracy. For casual sketches like this, I guess the tablet still works fine. But I definitely will not recommend this for professional art. Next, let's sketch another face, this time using the Concepts app, and I'll talk more about the line quality later. So I'm using the watercolor B4 brush. So with this app, by the way, different apps will perform differently with the pen. So for this app, I find that if I have to draw tapered strokes, same thing, I have the problem with the abrupt end. So to get tapered strokes, I have to press down hard and then lift the pen off so that I can get thin lines like this. So it's actually easier to draw tapered strokes using this method compared to drawing with mini-bank paint. Okay, so we have this guy here. So for example, if I want to draw the ear with a thinner line, I just apply lighter pressure, heavier pressure, lighter pressure, so I can get thin and thick lines that look like this. And this actually looks, in my opinion, better compared to the line art with mini-bank paint. And the line art here will look better compared to Clip Studio and also Infinite Painter. Infinite Painter and Clip Studio also, they also have the same problem with, same problem with the tapered strokes and diagonal line wobble. But for Concepts, this app is actually more forgiving. So even if the pen does not perform that well, with this app, you can still get some drawing done. So for example, earlier when I tried to draw the eyebrow for that lady, the eyebrow came out like this. It's just too thick because it's difficult to control the pressure with that app. And by the way, mini-bank paint does not allow you to adjust the pressure curve, so it's even more difficult to control the pressure. For this app, notice I can draw a thin line here. Thin, thick, thin. I can have thin, maybe thicker here. So I can actually control the line much better with this app. So the app that you choose to use actually matters a lot. Okay, so for this app, I can actually select the line and just increase the size or move the lines to wherever I want them to go, which is really cool. Okay. Okay, I think this looks okay. This thick line here looks a bit weird, but it's okay. I'm just going to let it be like that. Okay, so here I'm trying to join the line again. I want to join it seamlessly, and see, it's quite seamless. With this app, I can do so easily. I can join the lines easily, but not with other apps. Yeah, so that's the downside. So for sketching purposes, like for casual sketchers, this app works really well. By the way, I have many tutorial videos, free tutorial videos for sketching with this app, Concepts, on my YouTube channel, on the YouTube playlist, which I will link to in the video description below. I also have some Skillshare courses for Concepts as well. Okay. this line art looks better, as in I can see the thin and thick line variation more clearly compared to MediBang Paint. Here I can see thin and thick lines as well, but I feel like the line art here is definitely more expressive. Right, Concepts has crashed, and this happens occasionally on this tablet for some reason. The crashing doesn't happen with other tablets, but for this tablet, I just don't understand why it would crash occasionally, and hopefully the line art was saved. Thankfully, it was saved. Okay, another problem with this app is when I launch the app, it would always sign in first when I have already signed in. Okay, never mind. Let's just color this first. So as I color this, I am going to rest my palm on the display just to test whether palm rejection actually works. Okay, palm rejection, as mentioned earlier, works quite well with this tablet, thankfully. So I don't really have major issues with palm rejection. Okay, let's take a look at this other sketch that I have here. Let's disable the colors. Here, as I try to taper the line, you can see the line taper is abrupt. So if this happens and I need correction, I have to undo and redraw. Yeah. So here, to get the tapered stroke, I can press down hard and then lift the pen up to get the tapered stroke like this. This would be very difficult with Infinite Painter, Clip Studio, and MediBang Paint. And here you can see I tried to join the lines. Yeah, two lines. There are two separate lines. One line here and one line here. I tried to join the lines together, but I need a bit more control to make the line join seamlessly. With other pens, with more accurate pens, I can just join the line like more easily. So for this sketch, there are many inconsistencies, mostly when I lift the pen to get the tapered stroke. Here you can see the line is thicker when it should be thinner. Yeah, but otherwise I actually like the thin and thick variation. It really makes the line art look more interesting. All right, to conclude, this tablet is well made and the pricing is quite reasonable for the specifications provided. The build quality, the design, and the overall experience of using this tablet is actually, to me, very positive. The pen performance is a mixed bag. This can be used for writing, but for drawing, there are those issues that I have mentioned, so I guess it can still be used for some casual sketching, but the app that you use is actually very important because the app will actually affect the line or the pen performance as well. So for me, I prefer to use Concepts when drawing with this pen. If I use other drawing apps like Infinite Painter, Clip Studio, or MediBang Paint, my experience is not good at all. So in my opinion, this tablet does provide good value for money. As for the pen, whether you need or want it, well, that's really up to you. Alright, I hope this review is useful. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.